bit was one of my boys, one of my guys that I listen to every morning. Every morning when I get up I get in my sauna for about 20, 25 minutes, do some reps, sweat out the prior day, listen to 15, 20 different videos, all different subject matter, think straight, get the mind right, get ready for the day, think about my positions, think about, how I need to react, what's happening, what's coming out. And then after that, I go in my ice barrel and then boom, here at my desk, getting ready to hang out with you guys, the Alpha Team and Redler All Access. My name is Scott Redler. I am the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to today's 6:30 Club. Let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. You got Ike Santo coming in, Marco. I got Ben Berger. Closed my Meta yesterday. Yeah, Meta's not been acting great. That's why I only have some options. What up, Ali? What up, Bobby 4.0? Miss you, buddy. What up, Enver? What up, Don? We got Scotty Gids. Good morning. It is Nvidia Day. Today is the day that everybody thinks, what type of strategy do they want going into the print? What kind of FOMO do they have? What potentially could they miss? Sometimes you don't miss anything, but with big time earnings reports, there's definitely some opportunities out there. You just have to define your risk in a way that makes sense for you, whichever way you want to go. What up, Jack Kamen? How you doing? We got space. Yes, Tesla. Tesla was a great trade yesterday. Made really good money on it. But if you took some overnights, you know what? Tesla's down a little bit. That's the way it is. It's hard to find real good follow through. When you have it, it's great. When you don't, you don't. But there's a chance you could buy in the hole. It can go red to green. We'll see. We'll figure that out one step at a time. Anyway, it's 6:35. Hope everyone's feeling well. Let's get to it. Here's your chart of the S&P cash. This is your chart of the blueprint of the market, and we've had quite a move. If you go back even further, obviously, you'll see the size of the percentage moves. Here is where we put the blood in the street to work around 49.76. Here's where we took it off, and now actively, we're building an upper bull flag above the 8-day that will most likely resolve one way or another based on how Nvidia, comes out. Will it beat? Will it guide up? Will it split? There's a lot of different question marks and a lot of different ways you're going to have to react, whether you trade it after market or you don't. If you look at the chart of Nvidia, Nvidia, has a really nice, upper, I would say upper type of channel where it's poking its head right near the all-time high, this 974. We've had lots of great trading strategies the past few quarters. Last quarter, if you remember, it gapped up above 746. That gave us a great option play, and then you could have been a buyer versus 746, and we trended all the way up to 974. So, will the report be enough to take out 974 and get into the 1,000 area? As of right now, I have a small call spread on the 1,000 by 1,075s. I'm risking 15 to make 60. So if you bought 10 calls, you're risking 15 grand to make 60 grand. That's not a bad risk reward. If you're going to do any kind of options, that could be a zero, because these options could be a zero. If it misses, you want to at least put yourself in a position to make 3, 4, 5 to 1 with options. Or you don't do any option play and you just wait till after the print. If you're fast enough, maybe you could buy it through 974. Or if it's not enough, there'll definitely be some levels we'll map out thereafter. Obviously, there will be some collateral moves in an AMD, in an SMCI, in an AVGO, and a lot of these things. Overall, AMD's had a decent move from 142 to 169. It's hanging in here. If you were to take an option play here, I would say, it's the kind of cheap way to play it. You buy the 170s and maybe sell the 175s. You're probably risking less than $1 to make 4. Not so bad. Anyway, with all that said, we have a day of trading in front of us. Like my buddy from the Alpha Team just said, he goes, darn it, Tesla. Tesla every now and then is given a trade. And yesterday, there was a decent one. It was kind of coiled. You had that first move post earnings, that we did pretty well with. If you remember, we took options into Tesla. That came out better than feared, and we made really good money. And then you had a pro gap, which is from one of my books, if you want to click the link, to trade against. And remember that autonomous software driving, whatever they want to call it, happened, and boom, since then it got really tight. So yesterday, around 11:45, we were really getting involved there around 180, and you had a nice move. So obviously Tesla does not, have any follow through this morning, because that's what Tesla does. It likes to annoy everybody lately. It's not the Tesla of old. If it was a Tesla of old, it would have closed strong, closed in the highs, and been up $3, and boom, great trade. But now it's down a little bit, not the end of the world. What you want to do is you want to take Tesla and you want to look at the chart from yesterday, okay, to see where support was. So maybe it comes back, and this is kind of where it took out or went up from, from what's it called, the afternoon. This was 130. So I would say if this stock is any good, it should not go below 182. If it goes below 182, it is what it is. It's annoying. Listen, I get it, but if you don't take stock overnight and you played it yesterday, then you come in and say, hey, it was up 11, it's only down 3, could be, a decent risk reward. So at this point, it is only down 3. I'm going to wait for it to put a 15-minute low. I have small overnight and add a little bit and see if it could absorb it. There's some news out there that registrations in Europe are a little down, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, it was up to a little bit too much yesterday. So anyway, Microsoft was a really good trade yesterday, made it to another high. I've bought options 3 different times. This has been very rewarding. I've talked about it here numerous times. Last week, we were buying the 415s in the hole and got paid, made 200% on those options. And then into this pullback here, I was buying the 430s, and I sold 75% of them into new highs. I have 25% left for the week. It's only Wednesday. We'll see what happens. Microsoft's up 85 cents. It's near 430. We'll see, kind of continue to digest and go. But there was a good trade there. Listen, good trades, are hard to find, and when you get them, great. We talked about Netflix. A lot of guys made really good money on Netflix. Lots of different types of trades there. First, you had the, fill the gap trade, which happened, and then it was going sideways. A lot of guys were buying versus 605, added through 626, and then yesterday I was like, listen, had a big move, took out the prior high. If it's any good, it should go from down 2 to up 2. So you didn't have follow through yesterday in Netflix either at this time 24 hours ago, but you were able to buy it down to add through yesterday's high with a prior high of Monday, and boom, that's what you call it. That's good trading. So if you were there with Netflix, congratulations. So that was another good setup. That was after Google made a high. You know what isn't trading well? Meta's not trading well. I accumulated a little options in there, and at this point it is kind of tight. But all these stocks are not created equal. Meta was at 485 in February. Now it's at 465. It's done a whole lot of nothing besides give you small trades based on technicals. At some point, it'll probably wake up, but at this point, it's not the case. A lot of us have made really good money in crypto lately. Crypto has been fantastic. Crypto gave us 3 different spots for Bitcoin to trigger through, and I kind of don't think it's done. I think that now it's up here, and it's going to pause for a session or so, which it's doing, and then I do believe you're going to get another trade here. Okay, at this point, just say Bitcoin is building a nice little bull flag, and at some point, it's going to take out this spot, and we're going to be seeing Bitcoin maybe in June at 80,000 or more. That would be nice. Right now, it's May 22nd. This is where you had your overthrow to the downside and got really tight. We were buying the IBIT. I'm still long, and I'm also long some BITO calls. Then you had a nice little bull flag, and that's when I was like, hey, if this takes out 67, it's going to see 70 to 73 pretty fast. Got as high as what, 72,000. So at some point, from the low 60s to the 70s, it's got to pause here, and then I would think it takes that out. It's just a matter of how fast does that want to happen. So we'll see. But overall, big channel in Bitcoin. Lots of institutions have ETFs now. They've been accumulating, and at some point it's going to go. We also did pretty well, actually, believe it or not, with like Robinhood. Robinhood made a new high. We had a bunch of different sets of options that have worked out very well. I'm small left. And then there was Mara. There's a lot of things to do. And then you flip a few gears. If you remember last week, I was talking to you guys about accumulating Eli Lilly, right? It was a big channel. We were buying the 8-10 calls for anywhere from $10 down to like $7. And yesterday they took out Lilly real fast. It went as high as 8.16. And in this move, I sold a bunch of options, 20, 25. So that was nice. Didn't even have to do an earnings play. Just a nice chart pattern that you could have accumulated. And then it went fast. And now I'd like to see this hold, in here and continue. So I did get a little bit smaller, but overall, really nice play. But again, this isn't an AI semi. This isn't a crypto. This is take a pill and lose weight. I'd much rather you sweat your butt off a little bit and eat better than take a pill or a shot or whatever the hell you're gonna do. But listen, it's your prerogative. It's your life. But I will say, if you change the little things that are in your control versus taking a pill or a shot, chances are, it might be better off for you longer term. But anyway, Shop got an upgrade from Goldman Sachs. All right, a lot of guys have been talking about Shop lately. Shop has been absolutely horrible. You guys fall in love with these names that used to make you money. And at this point, look at this pro gap to the downside. There is no reason or no clue to be in Shop here. If anything, it's broken. So if you're in it today and you're getting bailed out because Goldman Sachs upgraded it, all right, big deal. It's up $1.50. So you're doing the wrong thing. Same thing. A lot of people like, Red Dog, did you see what's going on with Lululemon? I'm like, yeah, Lululemon also. We talk about pro gaps. Here is one to the downside. Lulu also. Pro gap to the downside. This one also got filled. Things change. Here is when Lulu was above the 8-21 day. Couldn't do no wrong. Had a high P then too. And then you had a pro earnings gap to the downside, never got filled. And it's been trending down since. Below the 8-21 day. Here you're above the 8-21 day. That is when you want to be long. That's when you want to have risk on. When it's below, you're out of the way, especially if you're a trader. And even if if you have a job and you're, managing some positions and you want to make money and have really awesome stocks, well, then you got to follow my active trading rules also, but you better put the time in. I was just talking to my buddy Pete, how he said something to the fact that, like, in the last bunch of years, if you missed 9 days, you missed all of the returns that the overall S&P has given you. So if you can't follow rules and you're in a job, then make it easy for yourself. Just friggin', max out your 401k and put in money every single month. And in 20, 30 years, you're going to have a lot of money. Or if you want to pay for college, the same thing. But if you're going to play stocks, you better know how to get in and get out and be on top of your game. And if you trade for a living like we do, that's a whole nother story. So anyway, this has been absolutely horrible. But on the flip side, what's been good? ON. Okay, this one, I took into earnings, which was great. This gave you a pro earnings gap to the upside, and it's been trending since. I'm in very small. I had options. At this point, it got a little extended from the 8 days, so you never have to want a big size into that. And you kind of want to stay with it. So at this point, ON, maybe you could buy it into here. But bottom line is, somebody's got to be eating Lulu's lunch, So with that said, there's different things that happen at different parts of the market. How much capital do you recommend for a beginner with what, Tony? Or Tonique? It all depends. If you just, everyone goes through a trading process. When I first started in 1997, I was a day trade only price action tape reader. Never took overnights, tried to make 300, 500, 1,000 a day and add it up. Then you go through the process where you do a day trading, and then, hey, I want to take some swings, or I want to go overnight. Then, hey, I want to day trade and swing trade, and then, I want to learn about options, and then take some options. Then all of a sudden you turn around, you're 5 years in the business, you have an active account, a swing account, and an option account, and now you're starting to put it all together, and then obviously as you're doing that, you start working on doing long-term money. So I've been doing it for 30 years. I try and teach all the different time frames. Nvidia, what about it? I'll leave you again with Nvidia. Obviously, the whole world knows, it's coming out with numbers. It's been the heartbeat of risk. You have 954, 958, this 974. In order for this to get to 1,000, it's got to get above and stay above 974. At this point, Nvidia is down a little bit. It's down $4. Not a big deal. So maybe today, actively, it goes from red to green. Okay. You're still at 949, and it's going to need a hell of a report. It's going to need to beat. It's going to need to raise. And in order for this to get to, 1,025 to 1,050, it's going to probably have to do some kind of split. So we'll see. If not, then we'll see what kind of move it has to the downside, and we'll trade accordingly tomorrow. Listen, Apple's been awesome. Look at that move in Apple since the pro earnings gap. Lately, we've been putting that pro earnings gap, how to play it, in the atmosphere, because a lot of people who don't trade actively for a living, like, how do I get involved in a name like Apple when a new active sequence is born? Well, we made good money in options here. And then right here, verse 180.40, you could have been a buyer of Apple and made $10 in Apple. Look at that. If you've been an investor for a decade, congratulations. But if you want to be a trader and carve out moves, there are ways to do it where you're not overly massaging a position. I've had 2 different sets of options within this sequence and traded the stock. So it's been a great name. And if you look on the weekly chart, it's kind of just, working its way back to the upper end of this channel. So Apple has not been a leader. It was a laggard for most of the year, but then guess what it did? Same way it broke this descending trend line to the upside, it did it again. Probably gets up near here and then, and then pauses. But I would think ultimately, I've been saying even when it was doing this, at some point this year, it's going to be, into the 200 area, and that's that. But if you trade actively, you don't want to over allocate time if it's not going to be worth it. Anyway, so with that being said, today to me is an important day. Might be a little quiet as far as overall indices as everybody waits for Nvidia. You do have an upper level flag here. Okay, in order to see new highs, the SPY is going to have to get above and stay above 531-ish. This is your prior high here. This was this gap up, if you remember. And this is your 8-day moving average. We've been in this sequence since clearing this inside wedge, literally since May 3rd. It's May 22nd. So that's a nice, 2 weeks plus of great trading action. I think tomorrow we'll see, does it continue or do they shake the tree a little bit? What camp am I in with rate cuts? I think we'll be lucky to have 1, maybe 2. But if we're at 5,400 this summer or 5,500 in the S&P, they're not cutting rates. The wealth effect's going to be there. Inflation's going to be sticky, whatever it is going to be. If we peak in the next few weeks, which we might, and then we get a little bit of a corrective phase this summer and sentiment gets a little, sour the way it did here. Look how fast this happened. Then chances are maybe September we get that cut. But from now to then, let's go day by day, week by week, time frame by time frame, and not overthink it. What are you looking? Looking to buy puts on an index with put option, close the portfolio. All right, so buy puts. Listen, if you think that, if you want to take a look at the weekly chart, if you think that this weekly chart, is a little long in the tooth, by the way, this is the weekly chart. Remember this when it broke and it came in. Fine. Go out a few weeks. It's always cheaper to buy insurance before a hurricane or a storm. And as right now, insurance is pretty damn cheap. But here you had this ascending channel. We broke to the downside, held the 21-day, which was strong. If you remember, we broke above this. This is when I bought the Blood in the Street account. And, usually you get above a spot. Sometimes you have a false breakout, which would happen tomorrow if Nvidia isn't enough. But if it is, you probably see a move. If this is 494 to 524, that's 30 handles. So another 30 handles takes you to 550 before perhaps this new active sequence tips out, and then maybe we get some kind of corrective phase of summer. Anyway, those are my 2-3 cents. Sometimes it's worth a quarter, sometimes it's worth 50 cents, and sometimes it's worth the price of admission, there is no price here except for your time and effort. So at this point, I'm still carrying some positions. I still think that you're going to get another move in crypto to above 80 at some point in the next month or so, and I'm going to be playing it in that fashion. We'll see what Nvidia does and then how the affiliates react. I think Apple's been good, Microsoft's been good, Google made highs, Netflix made highs. There's been more than enough things to do. And now for today, we'll see, does Tesla hold 182? Otherwise, that'll be a little annoying. If Tesla doesn't hold this 180 or 182 and try and go green, I probably won't trade that again for a little bit. But it is what it is. Guys were saying yesterday, Tesla, this is the best setup ever. I'm like, guys, maybe it's up a little bit too much for it to have follow through. So anyway, at this point, it's not the end of the world. It's what is it, down 3? Yeah, down $3, up 11, using your retracement rules. Here's your 182 and change. So that's how I put together the day. I'm like, I'm long small Tesla. I made great money yesterday. Take a little bit home. Maybe you get follow through. If you don't, be patient. Watch for a level, which would be 182. Maybe it holds it and goes green, and then you sell some and you make more money than if it opened up a few. Even if it opened up a few, it'd be easier. But hey, nothing in life is real easy. So you do the hard things, you have an easy life. If you only do all the easy things, you're gonna have a hard life. That's what my buddy who started this call has said many different times, and I believe that. The way you build self-esteem is by doing hard things. The way you love yourself is by what? Keeping promises to yourself that you keep. If you try to make promises to yourself and you can't make promises to yourself, you're never going to be able to make them for anybody else around you. You're going to be no good for anyone. So first step is, put some goals and some things on paper, and then achieve them, and then continue to move on. And then maybe you can teach your kids how to do that. All right, guys, got to jump. Later, boys and girls and everyone. Good luck today.